Hello, Miguel. Can we mag-tikot? Miguel, hindi tayo. Hello, Miguel. Can we mag-tikot? Miguel, hindi tayo.
So again, good morning to those who have just logged in. You may want to fill out attendance sheet via the QR code presented in our screen. And also, the chat box administrator will be posting the links in our chat box. Okay? Good morning! So again, good morning to those who have just logged in. You may want to fill out attendance sheet via the QR code presented in our screen. And also, the chat box administrator will be posting the links in our chat box. Okay? Good morning! So again, good morning to our 223 participants and counting. So our attendance sheet is already posted in our chat box, and you may also use our QR codes that is already in our screen. So ayan. So good morning din sa atin pong viewers from the YouTube live stream. So again, good morning to our 223 participants and counting. So our attendance sheet is already posted in our chat box, and you may also use our QR codes that is already in our screen. So ayan. So good morning din sa atin pong viewers from the YouTube live stream. Good morning! So ayan, good morning again to our 238 participants here in our room. And also, yung mga viewers po natin from our YouTube live stream, good morning. So now we will start our session. So ayan,
before
good
anything
morning
else,
again to
before
our
we start our
238
session, will you please
participants
feel the
here in
presence of
our
our
room.
Almighty
And
God as we
also,
offer Him
yung
a
mga
prayer.
viewers po natin from our YouTube live stream, good morning. So now we will start our session. But before anything else, before we start our session, will you please feel the presence of our Almighty God as we offer Him a prayer.
Salamat sa langit, lupa, apoy at tubig. Salamat sa lahat ng iyong likha. Patnubayan mo kami, Bathala, na mamuhay ng payapa. Manalangin tayo. Bathala, salamat sa lahat ng iyong biyayang sa pagkatuto at maging handa sa pagtanggap ng aming mga pagkakamali at kahinaan. Salamat sa lahat ay maitama namin ito at mapabuti pa ang paglilingkod sa sambayan ng Bathala na mamuhay ng payapa at patas. Patnubayan po ninyo ang aming mga tagapagsalita na maging makabahagi sila sa amin at maging handa sa pagtanggap ng aming mga malinawa sa kanila at kahinaan. Ang katalinuhan at kagayon ay maitama namin ito. Maibahagi nila ito sa amin ang paglilingkod sa sambayanan. Ang lahat ng ito, Bathala, ay dinadalangin namin sa iyo. Ang aming mga tagapagsalita, amin, makapagbahagi sila sa amin ng mga makabulahang bagay. Dumaloy nawa sa kanila, Bathala, ang katalinuhan at kausayan mo upang maibahagi nila ito sa amin ng buong buo. Ang lahat ng ito, Bathala, ay dinadalangin namin
Alright,
sa iyo.
just a few reminders before we start our
Amen.
webinar. Alright, just a few reminders before we start our webinar. Alright, just to give you a quick recap on the webinar happened last Monday, September 6. So last Monday, a total of 392 attendees who attended our webinar, the first session. 243 who participated via Google Meet and 149 via Google Live Stream. So first, Director Bubuyog, the Director of ICTMS, delivered his opening remarks, followed by Mr. Sheen Kare's discussion on the rationale and objectives of the webinar. Then the session 1, Network Security in the COVID-19 Era, was discussed by our first resource person from Palo Alto Networks, Mr. Richard Asusano. And after that, all the questions were entertained and answered in the open forum. And here are the few questions raised last meeting. So, is it safe to use VPN? Answer is that don't use third-party VPN if you are using a corporate issued devices. So next, is it safe to use incognito? Yes. And then next, is it okay to use antivirus apps? Yes, but always keep in mind that it is always in us. So please be careful sa mga links na atin pong kiniklik, no? So it's too good to be true, ika nga. So wag kang mag-click ng mga ganong links. If makikita mo siya kasi minsan nag-ano lang siya na nag-appear siya sa screen and then nakiklickbait tayo. So ayun. So always check if the website is legit. So ayun. And then here are the learning insights from our participants last Monday. So for a moment. All right. So here are the 4 insights that our participants had shared with us. Ayan. So mukhang alam niyo naman to, no? Kasi yung iba sa atin naka-attend naman last meeting. So ayan. So, and now, to acknowledge the participants properly, if I call your field office, please greet everyone a very good morning, okay? So first, nandito na po ba ang FO1? Kindly turn on your microphone. Ayan.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning po.
FO1, nandito na po
Good
ba?
morning po.
Good morning.
Good morning po.
Ayan, si Miss Rodora. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Miss Irene.
Okay, from FO2. Pwede po nating open ang ating mga camera and microphones. Okay. Good morning. From FO3. Andito na rin po ba? Ayan, nandito na rin sila. FO4A. Ayan, good morning.
Umaga sa lahat.
From FO4B. Okay, nandito na rin. FO5, nandito na rin kaya?
Good morning.
Alright. FO6?
Good morning.
Good morning. Ayan.
Ngayong aga.
FO7.
Ngayong araw.
FO8?
Good morning.
FO9. And then FO10?
Buenos dias.
FO11. FO12? FO Caraga. Nandito na rin po ba? FO NCR. Ayan. FO Car? Ayan, naimbag na umaga. And lastly, but definitely not the least, from the Central Office. Present ba ang ating mga taga-Central Office?
Good morning.
Okay, ayan. Good morning po sa ating mga participants. So again, good morning to our 251 participants who are logged in here in our meeting. This is Eileen Arden from the Learning and Development Division of HRMDS Central Office. I welcome you to the Cybersecurity Awareness Webinar Series, Sessions 2 and 3. So again, do your part, #BeCybersmart. So just to start off, no, I just want all of you to feel energized this morning para naman maganda yung pasok na ating week. So, ready na ba ang ating mga participants? Can I see a yes sa ating chat box? Ayan, yes, ready na sila. Ayan, thank you so much. So now, the title of our energizer for this morning is World of Fun. This is a funny guessing, so the category is food. So, clue. Oo, parehas kami ng lechon kawali, pero hindi ako siya. Ano ako? Ayan. Ay, si sa chat box, adobo, sinigang, kare-kare. I will present the next clue. Paksiw? No? So, ano to? Sikat to sa Ilocos. Ayan! Bagnet. Tama. You get it right. Ang dami ng tama sa ano, no? Bagnet. Next item. Clue. Bakit naman ang lagkit ng tingin mo? Ano kaya ito? Ano kaya ito? Ayan! Ang napakagwapong mayor ng ating Pasig, no? Mayor Vico. It's Vico. Ayan.
Hindi gagawa sa ako nga.
Next, clue. Pagkain ito'y sa iyo'y iaalay. Kahit lupaypay na ako sa kapapaypay. Ayan, malagkit daw. Sabi ng participants. Ayan. So the answer is, ayan, ang bibilis ng participants natin, no? Hindi pa natatapos yung clue, may sagot na kagad. Barbecue. Next, clue. Ano kaya ang pumuputok kapag galit? Prito, buchi, mantika, popcorn. So here's the next clue. Paputok, noo. Bakit noo yan? Ilong, chicharon, mochi. Batok, bakit batok? Pumuputok ang batok. So the right answer is buchi. Ayan. Next. Mula sa sagingan, nagtungo sa SM Supermarket. Ba, ang galing natin participants. Ang bilis ah. So here's the clue. Turon. Tama. Ayan. So next clue. Sana all. Yan, sige, dugtungan nyo. Sana all. Sana all halo-halo. Sana all mahayan. Tama. Sana all mahal. Maha is the right answer. So, ayan. So, thank you so much for participating in our morning energizer. So, I guess nagising naman ating mga participants, no? Can I see yes sa ating chat box if okay na tayo, alive na? Ayan, yes! Thank you so much. Ang active ng participants natin, umaga-umaga, no? And now, so we can now proceed. And now, I would like to introduce our first resource person to discuss the modern collaboration without compromise security, the session 2 of our cybersecurity webinar series. He is a customer engineer in Google Cloud team based in Singapore. He is passionate about helping customers transform their business by leveraging innovative technology of cloud infrastructure, platform, application, and smart devices. Prior joining Google, he worked as a platform specialist in Salesforce and pre-sales consultant in HP Enterprise. Beside his strong technical background, holding various certifications of cloud technology in terms of systems integration, architecture design, and data analytics, he also got his MBA degree, which helped him understand the customer business challenges strategically and speak the same language as LOB users. Let us all welcome Mr. Dambo Ren. Good morning, sir! So while we are having some technical difficulties, you may wanna fill out our attendance sheet via the QR code presented in our screen and also to the link posted in our chat box. Para po sa mga hindi makapag-fill out ng atin pong attendance or the pre-test, please use the DSWD email as long as much as needed kasi po I think restricted ba ito? So ayan, good morning din sa ating viewer from the YouTube live stream. Sa ating pong 3 viewers, good morning. Ayan, the link is already posted in our chat box. Thank you so much, Sir Franklin. Okay. The first resource person will be here in a minute. So please accomplish the attendance sheet first and the pre-test. Okay? Thank you so much. Okay, I think nandito na po ang ating resource person. Good morning, Mr. Ren. I will stop sharing my screen na po.
Thank you.
All right. Good morning, sir.
Morning. Can I share my screen now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You may do so po.
Okay. Yeah, good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. Can everyone hear me okay or see my slide? Everything is okay from your side?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, finally I dial in, okay? I got some trouble to dial in. I think the meeting is so popular that everyone tried to join the session. Great, thanks. Can I start now or should I waiting for someone else?
Sir, you can start na po. Thank you.
Okay, great. Again, hello everyone. So my name is Dambo Ren. I'm the Google Workspace Specialist based in Singapore. Sometimes I make a name joke by saying, you know, Rambo is my brother, the muscle man, but we have different family name. So today I'm going to talk about the modern collaboration without compromise security. Right? Why security and governance is so important? Because I understand for public sector, where you enjoy the cloud native collaboration, at the same time, you also want to keep your user, devices, data, services secure in the cloud. So today I'm going to talk about the 3 parts, right? Number 1, I know most of you already using Google Workspace, the cloud native collaboration tools. I just quickly recap and share with you some of the exciting innovation from our latest release. And the second one, I want to focus on majority of our time on the security and the governance control, right? To share with you Google innovation about zero trust and how this can help you to protect your devices, your user, your services in the cloud. And also introduce you about advanced protection program to protect your high privilege user and how to manage your devices, endpoint, protect your data, and last not least, I will talk about the client-side encryptions, which is based on the no trust concept. So later you will know how it works. And last not least, I will share with you some of the regional use case from other government agency and the ministry department. Probably can inspire you to start to think about what kind of use case you can apply within your countries. With that, let's get started. In this one, I will be recap Google's cloud native modern collaboration tools. I hope everyone agree with me. The pandemic really changed the way how we connect each other, how we work together. And there are emerging challenges, right? Number one, the work is no longer a place. The people may work from home, from anywhere, right? And the second is, it's really challenge for the worker or for the employee to keep work-life balance. And I'm one of many people like you, right? So we feel digital frustrated, and we have to be finish our work in the company, in the job. At the same time, we also have to do our duty in the home, right? So that's really challenging for us to manage the work-life balance. And last but not least, right? I believe everyone have this kind of frustration. It's all about the social interaction, the missing of the people connections, right? So that's really need a right solution to address each of the challenges. So imagine there is a solution, really flexible enough, allow employee to work from anywhere, from any devices, and don't worry about breaching your data or any security instance. You really imagine one kind of solution, right? Really have the AI, machine learning, powerful capability, help you to focus on most important thing, then save your time from your tedious and manual process. And also think about innovation solution, right? Really help you to focus on the human interaction to give you a total new user experiences. So that's exactly Google Workspace designed for, right? So that's on one tools, one platform, help you to finish all your work, whether it's in school, in your work, or in your personal life. And support people to work in the hybrid and the remote working environments. I believe most of you are familiar with the Google Workspace capability and modules. I probably just pick up some of the key capability or some new functionality probably relevant to your organizations. If you look at the productive day part, right? Let me talk about, you're probably already familiar with the Gmail, Calendar, Google Meet, which you are using now. I'm not sure if you heard about the Google Current, right? Within your organization, have you think about to apply this one to your organization? And Current is a private enterprise-ready social network for your organization. So with Current, your organization, your team, your department can release announcement, can share the latest news, can share the knowledge, and people can follow each other, and they can like each other's article and sharing. So it's a private social network within your organizations. You think about new generation of the employee, right? They used to this kind of social network user experiences, and that's the tools help you within organizations. Second part, collaboration. I believe all of you already use the Google Docs, Sheets, Slide to create content. We also have the application creation platform we call AppSheet. AppSheet is a zero-code platform for you to create an application to automate your business process without the knowledge of programming and coding. So it's a zero code, so which meaning anyone, even the line business user, you can create business apps to engage your citizen, to collaborate within your organization without depending on any IT or technical persons. And for security operation, it's also critical, right? So we already have the tools for you to manage your document, control your document permission. In the Gmail, right, we also have the confidential Gmail mode to allow you to secure your email content. We also have devices to also have the solution to manage your devices endpoint. And today, I want to share with you the Cloud Search, right? Cloud Search is a tools allow you to provide a single search UI, but across your Google document and also Office document, any third-party documents, even include a third-party system. For example, you have HR system, finance system, knowledge-based system, all this kind of system, we can provide a consolidated unified search UI. So literally, everyone's familiar with Google Cloud Search, right? In the consumer world, right? And this is literally the search capability within your organization to manage your enterprise content and systems. Yeah, if you haven't started using it yet, think about it and reach out to our country team or reach out to me. I'm very happy to support you or working together with our partner to give you a trial, give you a POC to show you the capabilities. With that, we also have a lot of new capability in Google Workspace, right? So I want to play this video to show you the smart canvas, how it works, and smart chips, and what's new capabilities. Yeah, I hope you are as excited as I am. So as from the video, right, you can tell with the magic character add, you can insert not only the text, right? You can insert hyperlink, the Google document, insert a contact people, even a Google Calendar Meet, right? And also you can change the document template, right? It's brainstorming or meeting minutes. And in the document template, right, you can integrate with the Google Task with your Google Doc. And also we have the list capability. Now you can assign the task to the user and that task automatically show up in the Google Task list. So there is more capability in will be come up. So in the new feature, right, we also not only support you to insert the Google document, but also the Office document, right? You can insert Office document, Excel, should you have any partner to work on it, and you can generate a preview about it. And some other capability, actually, we just released 2 days ago. So we call it a meeting companion mode, okay? Which meaning when you accept the meeting invitation, you can mark up, say, I dial in from office, from home, and also you in your calendar, you can set up, say, hey, which day you're working from home, which day from the office. And last but not least, we also have the capability called Time Insight. I'm not sure any other people, same like me, got the frustration about the digital meeting every day, right? So which really give you an insight about how many time you spend on the meeting, how many time you spend on the email, how many time you spend on the focus time. Yeah, so that give you a better understanding about your focus time, your time pattern. Then you can think about what the best way to keep work-life balance or to be more productive. However, you may wonder and say, hey, this kind of information I don't want to share with my manager. Rest assured, right? This kind of capability, we have the privacy protection, and this feature, this information, only you have access, and no one else can access this kind of time insight information. And this feature will be rolled out in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So stay tuned. I'm very excited for this kind of feature, and I hope you are too. With that, I will continue to talk about the second topic, right? All about the security and the governance. I will talk about a couple of the security features to help you to tighten your environment, to protect your user, and protect your devices and endpoint. So first, as everyone know, right, Google is a cloud-based company. Google runs most of our services in the cloud. So Google knows how to protect the cloud services secure, right? So Google have to protect our services to make sure billions of users access our services without disruption. And then when your Google Workspace instance running in the Google Cloud Platform, you enjoy the same level of the controls. So Google have the different layer of the defense. We call 6 layer of the defense, right? And during the pandemic, we make a joke, say Google actually have the 7 layer of the defense. I'm not sure anyone else would like to try. What's the 7th layer of the defense? Okay, so actually it's a joke, right? It's meaning the people operating in data center, they also wearing the mask. So that's a 7 layer of the defense, okay? So anyway, so Google have the face marks, right? Got it, very good one. Pablo and Lamet, thank you very much. So this is a joke, right? But this is really tell you Google have the defense at depth, right? Google defends our services and also our customer services. So in terms of the data, right? Your data stored in the cloud is encrypted at rest by default. And between your client devices to the Google Cloud Workspace, it's encrypted in transit. And later I share with you when we encrypt the data, and the key to encrypt the data can managed by our customer like you, right? So then you have the fully privacy control and security controls. Later I will talk about more about this one. So today I want to share with you the beyond the core security model, or we call zero trust. Why we call zero trust? Because in the traditional IT world, right, people normally trust the internet, don't trust internet. So that's the reason there are something called VPN, right? Whenever employee access information from the corporate, they have to dial into the VPN, then they can access internet. But in Google concept, we don't trust internet, and also we don't trust internet. We don't trust anything, okay? So our security model is based on the context, based on the behaviors. We are not protect network only, we protect your user, devices, your services, your data, your applications. Let me show you how it works. Hey, Janice, I know you have a question. Would you mind I finish my content, then I leave 10 to 15 minutes, then give you time to ask a question. Hope it's fine for you. So this is how it works, right? So zero trust or beyond call, this works will be on the left, it's your user identity, devices. On the right is your services, whether it's service hosting VM in Google Cloud on-prem, right? So then all the context like IP address, location, time, session, and all this kind of context will use as a judgment to allow the user to access service or not. So let me give you an example. So this is a typical example, right? You want to restrict the user only can access Google Workspace cloud services from your corporate network. In this case, you can define based on the IP address, IP CEDAR range, only the IP address from your corporate network, you can access Google Workspace and Google services. Any user outside your corporate network, you cannot. I give example for Google, right? And this Beyond the Call have implemented within Google more than 10 years. And it proved success by Google scale and Google complexity. For example, should I working from home, I can only access the non-classified data. For example, I can check my opportunity, my office document, but should I want to access some of the confidential document like my financial information, my salary information, when I travel to other country, like say travel to China, then this kind of policy will be restricting me to access this confidential data. So you can set up this kind of different level of access and different level of the applications. Another example. So only the compliant devices, for example, if the company provision device or encrypted devices, you can access the Google Workspace or cloud services. And any other non-compliant devices or personal devices or home devices, I'm sorry, you are not allowed to access the corporate devices, right? So you can set up this kind of access policy, access control based on the user, based on the devices, based on the context. And all this kind of information can add up, and then you make a real-time decision to see if you allow user to access your service application or not. Then I will talk about the advanced protection program. So it's protect your high-risk user. For example, your executive user, your high-profile officers, or your admin users, right? So this kind of user, I highly suggested to enforce the security key as the second factor. I will talk about it. So since we will talk about the multiple factor authentication, I will highly recommend the DSWD, think about it. For different type of user, implemented different two-factor authentications. For high-profile users, think about the hardware FIDO key, security key. For the regular employee, probably think about SMS and voice or Google authenticator apps. And the higher secure control is the Titan security key, right? That gives you the account protection to protect you from your phishing, from account hijacking. And also this security, we have the secure element within the hardware and to avoid any temptation, any modification to your hardware. And last but not least, this is open ecosystem, so support FIDO protocols, so you don't worry about being locked by Google in this case. In the Google workspace, right, we also have the mobile devices and endpoint management solutions. Whether it's company provision mobile devices or your employee bring their own devices, Google have the solution to help you to manage your devices. For example, you can set up the password to protect your devices. You can manage your approval for the devices to connect it to your Google Workspace system. You can define which Wi-Fi system can provision. In the case your employee to lost or your devices be stolen, we can do the remote wipe your data from the devices, then no one can access your corporate data. And something new, right? We also support Windows 10 devices management. In this case, your employee Windows 10 devices also can be managed by Google Endpoint Devices Management. And data is critical, right? Especially for the public sector customers. So that's the reason Google have the data loss prevention capability. I'm not sure if your organization already implemented or not. So this allows you to protect your data to be shared outside the organizations. And you can set up this kind of detectors. For example, whenever you detect some data like your credit card information, your NRIC number, driver license, whenever detect this kind of sensitive data, you can block the data sharing outside the organization. It supports Google Drive and also Google Gmails. At the same time, we also allow you to customize the customized logic, like a regular expression, to create the customized rules to protect your data, your documents. And some of the new feature in the beta now is support the data classification with drive label, which meaning we allow you to create the metadata to associate to the drive files. In this case, you can classify your document. For example, for the government, right, your data could be the secret, top secret, confidential, and restricted, and you have different level of document. You can create the metadata or labels to classify your different documents. And this feature can work together with data loss prevention. For example, whenever your user share any secret document outside organization, you can block it. And this feature also can work together with the Google Vault. You can set up different retention rules based on the data classification levels. For example, the confidential document will be kept forever, and the non-classified document will be only kept for 6 months. And you can set up this kind of different retention policies. And last one, I will talk about the client-side encryption. right? In the previous slide, I talked about encryption at rest, encryption in transit. In this case, actually, the key is still managed by Google platform. You may say, hey, Google, I don't trust you. Because you manage my encryption key, technically speaking, you also can get the content of my document. That's the reason we release the client-side encryption. As the name suggested, the document is encrypted as a client-side and the key is managed by customer. And Google don't have access to the encryption key. So how it works? So let me show you from the end user perspective how it works, right? In the Google Doc or Google Slide, Google Sheet, you can say, hey, I want to encrypt this document. And in this case, this document only can be accessed by the customer and not by Google anymore. And also the encryption not only support the Google document and also support Microsoft and other documents. Whenever you upload a file to Google Drive, you can encrypt it. Then Google don't have any access anymore. So we have the third party, the external key management services like virtual, like Tylers, right? So then they can host the key management services in another cloud or in your data center. In this case, the key will managed by the customer, yourself, and Google don't have the key access. So in other words, Google don't have the access to your content of your documents. However, if you prefer any other third-party key management services not by Google partner, and we provide API for you to integrate it with your third-party key management services. So let me show you how it works. It's a little bit technical. Hopefully for the technical user, you can understand. For non-technical user, I'm sorry, probably a little bit too deep dive for you. So this is how it works. So this is your client side, and this is your browser or Google Apps. This is the Google Drive. On the bottom is key management services, which is the customer control and the customer control identity services. And this is all the Google Cloud Platform and controlled by customers. In this case, whenever the customer wants encrypt document, in this case, your browser will generate a random data encryption key and encrypt the document. And the document encrypted, then upload to Google Drive. However, the data encryption key will be sent to your key management services. And the data encryption key was encrypted again by key encryption key. Then the wrapped or encrypted data encryption key will upload to Google Drive. Okay, in this case, Google store your encrypted document, but we don't have access to your encrypted data encryption key. So in other words, Google cannot get access to the content to your documents. So when it's decrypted, same thing, right? When decrypted, the user will be sent the encrypted data encryption key to your on-prem key management services. Your key management services will decrypt the data encryption key and send back. The data encryption key will encrypt document, the user can see the documents. As you can see, right, by this kind of architect, we decouple the document store and encryption keys. In this case, you don't need to worry about Google access your document. For example, another government, right, won't access your data through the Google. Google don't have any access. You probably heard about Cloud Act from US. You probably heard about Subpoena Act. In this case, you gain the fully control about your document, about your encryption keys. Okay, so should you still have a question, and later I'm very happy to answer it. So now let me quickly finish the last session, talk about some of the case studies, some of the use case. Although Google Workspace, is productivity and collaboration tools, right? So for you to collaborate within organization and outside the organization. However, there are some of the other use case, right? I want to share with you other than productivity and collaborations. So this is from Colorado Department of Human Service, right? This is the way they engage the citizen to manage the virtual visit for the correction peoples, right? So they have the Google site to create a website to list all the available time slot for the people to schedule a session to talk to the people in the correction center. Then they're using Google Form to collect all these kind of requests. Once confirmed, they will be recorded and in the Google Calendar and send out the Google Meet links. Then the people, whenever the time coming, they will use the Google Meet to have the conversation with the people in the correction center. And all this kind of session will be recorded and stored in the Google Drive. As you can see, right, this is simple using the Google Workspace capability to provide a kind of engagement service for the citizen, for any people want to dealing with the government services. So I highly encourage you think about it using Google Workspace for this kind of government to citizen engagement. We also have another use case in Singapore, right, for the ERAS, for the tax filling. So they provide a Google Meet session for the people to talk to the officer to answer any questions. We also have the chatbot for the government officer for the MOM in Singapore. So they can use the chatbot to inquiry about the progress, about the working path. They also use the chatbot to answer some of the questions for the customers. So this is all the use case you can think about it. Another one use case is using Google Glass, right? So I have the Google Glass devices, and the Google Glass devices for the people, if you heard about it before, is for the consumer market. However, 2 years later, Google changed strategy from the consumer market focused on enterprise market. So then we come out different use case, right? We have one use case in the Air Force in Singapore. They're using the Google Glass, right? The field engineer wearing the Google Glass, they're inspecting all the aircraft parts. Then they can capture the photo using the voice control. They also capture all the conversation and translate to the English transcriptions. So all this kind of use case, you can think about it within organization. Another use case is in Malaysia, we try, is called law enforcement officer. Because law enforcement officer, they probably on the road. In this case, they can use the voice command to access some information, to check some information from back end. They also can get some help from the remote office. Because for the Google glasses, they can delve into the Google Meet. They can see what officers see from the office. Then they can give them a kind of instruction, can provide additional support. And also they can collect the data from the customer. And also we support the recording. We also support the transcriptions, right? So for the auditing purpose, the officer, they want to recording the session. They also want to transcribe the session, right? Then they can search the content. Then one day they can do, auditing purpose, right? So all this kind of use case, you can think about it using frontline addition and the Google Glass use case. With that, I think that's pretty much the use case I want to share. Probably one more, but not relevant to your agency, but probably for the telehealth, right? So we work with some hospital in Singapore. We come out with a solution using Google Glass for the telehealth. So when the doctor, when they do the operation, they have the remote doctor can give them instruction to give them help. And even for some nurse, right, junior nurse, and the remote instructor or mentor can give them instruction to finish the telemedicine or finish the pharmaceuticals in this kind of use case. Anyway, so because the Google Glass already integrated with the Google Meet, Google Workspace, it can check your document from Google Drive, can manage your calendar, can manage chat, can record the meeting. So think about the use case, leverage Google Meet, Google Glass, and frontline additions within organization. And last one, I have only one slide left, and to give you some idea about the potential use case using Google Workspace, right? Whether it's HR, your marketing, your frontline IT, and we have different type of the use case. Yep, so with that, I think we still have 10 minutes left. Probably let's answer some of the questions from the audience. I'm sorry, I think Jonas, you already put your hand down. So previous you raised up your hand. Can I ask what kind of question from your side? Oh, let me check my chat. Is there any question over there? Oh, don't have a question in the chat. Then probably I open to the floor, right? Any question, comment, or any idea? If you have, feel free to unmute yourself and just ask question. If you are shy, you are not comfortable to talk about, then probably you can chat in the chat window.
Okay, to our participants who have questions, you may type it in our chat box or you may open your microphone po if you have questions. And Mr. Dambo would really love to address those questions. So, ayan. Anyone from our participants?
Yeah, I know it's Monday, right? A little bit takes some time to restore to the working mode, but don't be shy. If you have any question, let me know. Yep. Okay. So don't have any question. I probably this is give few minutes back to the people. So I'm not sure. Eleni,
I think there's a question.
Sir?
There's a question?
Yes, sir. There's a question in our chat box from Mr. Shin Kare.
Yeah, I saw it. The question is, when will the Google Meet 250 limit increase? Okay. Yeah, it's a very good question. Because this morning I hit the problem, right? So when I dial in, right, I think the meeting is full. But before I talk about answer your question, right, normally I share with you the best practice. For large audience of the meeting, normally we combine the regular meeting and also the live streaming. Then we only give the speaker or presenter to the regular meeting, and rest other user, we suggest them to join from the live stream. In this case, right, so the user don't need to occupy the number of user license of the regular user. Yeah, so that is one of the best practice. Then back to your question, right? We also heard from customer like you. We already decided to increase to 500 by the end of this year, Q4. And also next year, we plan to increase to 1,000 user. So of course, I'm talking about enterprise user, enterprise edition. I believe DSWD, you are using partial of the enterprise license. So you can expect it by the end of this year, Q4, you will got 500 user to join for the Google Meet, the regular meeting. And next year, we also have planning to increase to 1,000. So this is our in our roadmap. However, this is safe harbor statement. Safe harbor is meaning, this is a commit in the roadmap, but the timeline wise probably change. But this is our planning for now in our roadmap. I also want to share one of the experiences we are using Google Meet, right? We're also using the Google Meet hardware devices for the meeting room, right? Because for the meeting room, through the dial-in, you only consider as one participant instead of many of them. So that's another way to help you to manage, the limit of Google Meet. Yeah, so hopefully answer your question, and you can expect it by the end of this year, you can get 500, and next year, more likely will increase to 1,000. Yeah. So I saw another question from Kennedy, say, does Google have the email client? So Google, to answer your question, right, Google don't have email client. I can explain why. So the reason why we don't have email client, because we want to reduce the attack surface, right? Because should we provide this kind of client email or email client or the on-prem server, you will increase the attack surface for the hackers. I'm not sure, you probably heard about the last year and this year, the security incident, data breaching because caused by the on-prem server. I don't want to talk about it because this session is recorded. You probably heard about the Hafnium, Solovin, Colonial pipeline attack. All this kind of thing, they have one thing common because they have the on-prem system or the sync client system. So that's the reason Google email, we only provide the PWA client. You probably heard about the PWA is new modern client based on the web technology. You don't install anything. You don't need updating, patching. You don't need to worry about being hacked by anyone, right? So Google Meet and Google Gmail already support PWA, so Progressive Web Acceleration. This is new client standard based on the web technology. So we don't provide email client, okay? The reason why is because security concerns. On the second question, the third question is from Chevin, that AppSheet is free for building and testing apps using the feature from any plan being starter enterprise. Okay, so AppSheet have three versions. One is AppSheet Pro, AppSheet Enterprise, Enterprise Plus, 3 edition. So should you already in the Google Workspace Enterprise, you will automatically get AppSheet Pro free license within your organization. Should you don't have the free license, right? You can try to apply, talk to your country team, Aggie, Amber, or myself. We can give you the trial free license. You can experience this within organization. Should you really feel have value for organization, that you can think about to purchase for the license. So my suggestion will be start from some free trial, then we can give you some free trial license you can start from. Okay, move on to the next one. So next one is from Proby. When will you integrate email tracker in the Gmail? Email tracker. I think email tracker, my understanding email tracker is tracking if people read email, if people click on the link, or if people respond to your email, right? Okay, you got it. Yeah, so this is something, in Google, right? We have the capability to track if the user read the email or not. However, if you track the user more advanced feature, like, hey, if the user click on the link, click on the hyperlink, all this kind of advanced feature, right? We will suggest you think about some email tracking solutions like SendGrid or EmailGun, because they are the dedicated solution to provide this kind of tracking. However, if you're using some HTML as email body, you can track it yourself, right? For example, your hyperlink, right? Whenever user click on it, you can record this kind of click into your cloud-based database. Then you can run a report, say, hey, which user click on this kind of solution or not, right? So basically, you can create it yourself, or you can think about third-party solution. Yeah. By the way, in my previous company, I once did some project to do this kind of email tracking. If you really feel interested, I think feel free to reach out to Google account team or Google partner. We can give you some idea how to create your own email tracking solution or third-party ones. Okay, so let's move to next one. Let me read the question, right? It's where using the Google Apps, I notice it will usually suggest saving the password across multiple accounts. Is safe to do so? Okay. So the Google way, right? Google is a cloud solution. So whenever you have multiple accounts to log into your system, the browser give you a kind of convenient capability to memorize your password, right? So actually, to be honest, my suggestion is the convenience and security is a kind of balance, right? If you want convenience, you probably compromise security. My suggestion is username password just one side to manage your user security. I would highly recommend it to think about using the multiple factor authentication to provide another layer of protection. Even someone gets your password, but they still need something like security key. So my suggestion is you probably think about MFA, to provide another layer to protect your account, to protect you from account hijacking and phishing. Okay, I hope I answered your question. Let's move to the next one. Aaron, where can I go to learn more about the site and how to maximize the use of Google email and learn more about other collaboration features of Google? Okay, so this is the Google Workspace Help Center. Let me show you Google Workspace Help Center. Yeah, Google Workspace Help Center, right? This is one place for you. Let me send you the link. Give me moments. Yeah, I will put the link here. So this is one place to provide all the training and enablement material for the user and also admin, right? So feel free to check it out. Another place is, you can Google it, say Google Workspace blog, okay, or Google Workspace update. So every week and almost every day we release new feature, new capability. You can keep tracking about the new feature capabilities. Yeah. Another one is I'm working together with Danny. We think about to have a roadmap sharing session for all the customer. So I hope DSWD people will join us. Then you can hear from us what's the latest feature, what's the latest innovation and capability in our Google Workspace. Okay, I think let's go for the last question. Just conscious about time. Okay, last one is, does Google have the email backup? So very good question. To be honest, we don't have the dedicated email backup solution. If you really want to back up your email, you can think about Google Vault, okay? Google Vault provides the capability to retain your email communication Google Drive document. You can keep it forever or certain period of time. However, Vault is for email journaling and email e-discovery. It's not really the email backup. So if you really need a dedicated email backup, you probably can find out from Google Workspace Marketplace. There are marketplace third-party solutions like, if I'm not wrong, like QNAP, like Synology or Commvault. They provide the backup solution for the Google Gmail and the Google Drive. However, if you don't need dedicated email backup, you can think about the Google Vault to retain your email communications. Okay, with that, I hope answer most of the question. I'm just cautious about time. And again, thank you very much for your time. Hopefully you enjoyed the session. And should you have any other question, feel free to reach out to Aggie, Emmer in the country, or reach out to me. I'm very happy to support you. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Dambo, for a very informative discussion about the modern collaboration without compromise security and for addressing those questions. And now, for a moment, sir, can I share my screen po? Okay, thank you so much. And now, this is to present the Certificate of Appreciation to Mr. Dambo Ren for sharing his valuable knowledge as the resource person of the Cybersecurity Awareness Month conducted on September 13, 2021 via Google Meet, signed by the OIC Division Chief, Mr. Chin Kare, and also the Director 4 of the ICDMS, Director Andrew J. Ambubuya. Thank you so much, sir, for your knowledge. Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
now, we will be having a 15-minute break. CR break, water break, coffee break, or kung anumang break yan. Kung gusto nyong mag-grab ng snacks, you may do so. And now it's already 10:20 in the morning. Please be back at exactly, sorry, medyo malakas pala ang music. So please be back at exactly 10:35 in the morning. Thank you so much. hello, hello, hello again. Nakabalik na po ba ang lahat? Can I see a present sa ating chat box? Present, ayan. Present, nandito na sila. Nandito na bang lahat? Okay, okay. Thank you. So I guess pwede na tayong mag-proceed sa ating next session. Okay, present. Thank you so much. And now, I would like to introduce our second resource person to discuss the cybersecurity under the new normal, the session 3 of our cybersecurity webinar series. He has been in the IT industry for almost a decade and is currently the Vice Country Manager for Sang4 Philippines, handling solutions architecture for various clientele in the private and public sector. He's been staying in the Philippines for 5 years now and enjoying the country amidst the current pandemic. Let us all welcome Mr. Glay Wang. Good morning, sir.
Magandang umaga po. Thank you so much for your introduction. So, all right. So, could all of you see me? Is my camera working good?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right, so kindly let me know if you could see my slides.
Yes, sir. Visible po.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much for this acknowledgement. So once again, good morning, guys. So thank you so much for your time and to join my session. So today, the title of my presentation, I name it as Cybersecurity Under the New Norm. Actually, well, Philippines exactly undergoing this new norm, right? So I'm currently staying in Makati. So I don't even remember when was the last time for me to go out of the room. So since the whole barangay is under quarantine as of the moment. So that's why, as you can see, I'm still wearing a mask as of the moment. So I want to talk about some precautionary measures and also the solutions that might be benefiting to DSWD, including your head office, perhaps the provincial offices as well. Okay, so maybe most of the time, to most of you, this is the first time for you to know who Sang4 is. Well, I cannot explain the exact meaning of Sang4 kasi we are the maker. This English word is not referable in a dictionary. Okay, we're the maker. So an equivalent explanation about Sang4 is trust and reliability. So we believe our product as well as the service will build the trust to our customer and also, of course, to bring a certain value proposition to your organization there. Okay, so well, Sang4 is a vendor coming from China. So we have built our office here locally in the Philippines for almost 5 years. So I had the pleasure to be one of the openers here since first day. So this is the address of our local presence here. So it is exactly next to GB1, Greenbelt 1, in Carlos Blanca Street. All right, so my presentation will consist of 3 parts. So the agenda as follows. So part 1, let's take a quick look at what happened during the pandemic. Part 2, I would like to give you some suggested security roadmap from the perspective of Sang4. So part 3, why it is so important to have an integrated solution. So I'm gonna lay emphasis on the integration there. So I will try my best. Of course, sometimes it's unavoidably, the presentation is a little bit technical. I'm gonna try my best to use the layman's term. All right, so recent very well-known attack events. It's all about ransomware. The gangsters are using the virtual machine even now to disguise, to put a masquerade onto their attack. So on the surface, their attacks looks legitimate, but on the cover, of course, it is with a certain purpose to steal or encrypt your mission critical data, your production data there. Okay, so, well, right now, ransomware is trying to pretend to be the Hello Kitty, and targets as even the VMware hypervisor. And also, one of the most famous organization coming from Russian, GBS, well, they have to pay a lot of ransom to the hackers. Okay. So final one, ransomware hits a law firm, of course, including the World Fortune 500 and Global 500 companies. Everything is all about ransomware. So, well, since all of those organizations are being hacked or infected by the ransomware, we're gonna have to ask why they were hacked. Actually, after talking with some of those victims, we found out, well, there were a lot of reasons behind it. But, well, the top reasons as follow. Number one, they don't have the advanced security protective case, or their existing security services expired. Oh, number two, they're still counting on their old signature-based detection. Okay, so since most of the hackers are weaponizing AI, a lot of new viruses are bypassing the detection of their existing security appliances and solutions there. And part three, well, it's all about the IT admin, lack of cybersecurity professionals, lack of the security must-know knowledge is there. So everybody, we cannot actually, sometimes we cannot over-expect the operator or the users to be knowledgeable enough. Because after all, we're not the cybersecurity specialist, right? So the way we're using our machine is in a comfortable way. Part four, lack of regular operation, lack of evolving professionals help when the incident happened. All right, after I move on, can any of you give me an idea what this background picture is all about? Let me see those potential answers. When you take a look at the background, exactly, it's a dark web, or in another term, it's deep web. Okay, so actually most of the website that is searchable by the search engine are on the surface. Exactly. Okay, iceberg representation. All right, so since actually majority of the websites are under the surface, so what if you don't know them? How could you make sure they're safe or not? Same thing with the cybersecurity. We cannot protect something that we don't know, or we don't that cannot be visualized, right? So what caused that invisibility? So there are a lot of reasons. Part of the reasons, number one, insufficient threat detection response capability, where everybody knows firewall and antivirus there. I believe no matter where, in which organization, firewall, the endpoint secure are the two main solutions that we're counting on to make sure our organizations are staying away from the infections and also the attacks, right? But the thing is the firewall or the antivirus enough? Or I'm gonna have to put a question mark there. We will have a discussion later on. So insufficient threat detection response capability, we don't know the overall security posture. And also, sometimes when the incident happens, well, the response, either from the vendor or from the internal professionals, are still not sufficient. Well, to make a summarize, in short, it goes to a lot of insufficiencies here. Insufficient security consciousness. Well, organizations seldom take the security protection seriously, right? Unless something really happened. and insufficient security capabilities, structuring, or imperfect security design in terms of the system, environment, equipment, silos. All of them are not collaborative with each other at all. Insufficient regular operations and maintenance, in-time incident response. There is no operation management on a regular basis. Only do it as it is being needed or to be forced. Let's say, for example, if there's a certain compliance, right? So we have no choice but to comply. That being said, we're unable to get the incident response from the vendor sometimes. So we talk about the user's capability, the insufficiency of their consciousness, of the collaborations between the different security appliances. So what the most optimal security design should be like? Is there a perfect answer? Of course, definitely not. I just would like to share some of the perspective from Sunfor's standpoint. Okay, so I'm pretty sure there are a lot of vendors and a lot of brands who organize the trainings, the seminars, the webinars there, but I guess nobody can guarantee that they can perfectly protect your organization, right? Not absolutely. There is no absolutely at all, only relatively. I say the hackers are evolving their technologies as well. All right, so before we go to the most idealistic design, let's take a look at some of the repercussions of those brought to us by those incomplete security measures. When you have no cloud level security, so let's elaborate on this one. No sandboxing technology that can usually protect the network from the unknown attacks. No real-time or third-party security database. So here comes the question. Is your firewall still upgrading their signature on the traditional approach? Well, maybe most of the answers are yes. No visibility on the suspicious IP addresses and domains that tries to communicate to your network, or on an abnormal behaviors protocol like HTTP or DNS. No network parameter security. Well, skeptical to the outbound and inbound malwares and advanced persistent threat that cannot be blocked by the traditional firewall, because most of those malwares and advanced persistent threats are sleeping most of the time, unless they're being activated, okay? No network intrusion detection system or intrusion prevention system. No network logging, analysis, and reporting of the security events that causes the malwares to be undetected for a certain period of time. No protections on the network vulnerabilities, such as the improper configuration, and some of the ports are opening, are exposing to the internet, and some of the softwares are not being patched properly. So if there is no endpoint level security, well, no protection against the threats on the scenarios when there are no firewall. Say, for example, I'm pretty sure some of you guys are still working from home, right? So the question is, when you're using the BYOD, when you're leveraging your own devices to access the systems, either in the provincial offices or in the central office, is your equipment being properly secured? Okay, no protection against the malware infection coming from the internal sources. See, usually we don't even know if there are hidden threats within our flash drive or our portable hard drive. So once we accidentally plug it in, well, we're lucky, yeah? So probably unwantedly, we're bringing some threats already. No way of removing the malwares on the devices. So some other repercussions when you deploy the incomplete security measures here. No AI-based malware detection engine. See, currently, most of the known, of course, we have no problem to deal with the known threats. See, the biggest threats coming from the 0-day or those unknown, unidentifiable traffic there. No protection against them. Of course, the traditional signature base is not enough. So which can cause the infection of unknown malwares. Example, one of the typical example as presented earlier is the ransomware. So I don't know if you experienced any ransomware attack or not. Basically, whenever your data will be encrypted, unless you're gonna pay, or else it means unless you're gonna pay or you have the backup, or else it means you're gonna have to stay firewall to your data forever. Okay. No detection capability on the viruses, variants, and malicious patterns there, which can cause a faster malware propagation in the network infrastructure. And also, see, most of the time you're counting on your existing firewall when it comes to inbound and outbound, right? Because most of the time it is the firewall who is interfacing the public internet. So of course, in terms of the north to south traffic, it is going to be handled by the firewall. But the question here is, what about the east to west traffic, which means the traffic that is traveling in transit within the local area network, right? Do you have any approach to visualize the payload or the traffic there? So most of the time, the answer is negative. And also, no professional services or supports from the cybersecurity expert. Do you have a dedicated security IT team, or your existing IT admin is multitasking, right? Only one gentleman to operate the server at the same time to administer the security. So that's a lot of questions that we're gonna have to think about. So what is supposed to be the ideal security design? Well, the answer is we're gonna have to organically combine the cloud, the firewall, as well as the endpoint security together, Lahat, okay? So, of course, there is no perfect design. It's just that so far from such a design, well, the way it works is more effective than any other security models there. Actually, this is also what is being accommodated and suggested by a lot of other vendors, okay? Not only Sanford, worldwide. So take a look at this very simple network diagram there. This is the wide area network. In short, this is the public internet, reachable to the internet, okay? So this one is like your room. It's like your bedroom, okay? Local area network, a personal space, a private territory. So the firewall, the role that the firewall plays is like a guard, okay? It's like a door. When you have the door closed, well, relatively speaking, your personal space, which is your bedroom, is kinda personal, right? It's kinda confidential and secured. But when you open the door, anybody can enter your room whenever they want. So that's why the firewall is like a door, it's like a guard. Well, this is the segregation between the trusted area, which is your bedroom, and also the untrusted area, which is the public internet. Okay, so as mentioned before, if we're just gonna count on the traditional signature database to identify the ransomwares, the malwares, the cybersecurity threats, well, most likely the firewall is going to be bypassed, right? So it is like you have a guest. That guest is trying to visit your room internally, but deep down you don't know whether your guest is a good guy or a bad guy. Maybe he's the bad guy, but on the surface he looks so decent, right? So he's so buggy. So that's why this traditional signature database engine is exactly having a hard time to identify that kind of guest, right? So which means we need some other approach. So what is that approach? Well, the approach is where we're gonna have to leverage the threat intelligence here. Okay, we cannot expect how smart or how effective the firewall is. This is it. The capability is very limited since it is just accounting on the traditional signature database. So is there any other way for us to intensify the detection accuracy? Well, the answer is definitely affirmative. So the answer is right here. Threat intelligence globally. Okay, we're gonna have to combine all of the advantages from the different vendor under this threat intelligence. Everybody, please contribute your own power. Okay, to make sure this threat intelligence is as complete as possible. So exactly with the help of this threat intelligence, even though that guest, which we don't know whether he's a good guy or a bad guy, that bypass your guard successfully enter the building, but still, well, in time, our threat intelligence could immediately find out the what kind of the person that guest is, right? And either to stop him or kick him out of the building. So I hope my explanation is understandable. So, well, that's why it is very important to combine the threat intelligence and also the firewall together, okay? So this one is a junior, this one is like a senior. The senior and junior will be working together hand in hand to identify as many malwares, as many ransomware samples as they could. So, well, most of the time, we're counting on the firewall for the traffic coming from the internet and also the up to the local area network, right? But the question is, what about the traffic that traveling from switch 1 to switch 2, or from PC to server, or from server to server, or from PC to PC, or from server to PC? Do we have any approach to visualize what is happening here? Well, apparently, if the answer is still we're counting on our firewall, definitely it's not enough. Okay, so actually within the security design, there is a model called crucifix. Crucifix, in short, north to south and east to west. North to south usually is from the internet, and east to west is usually from the local area network. So it's a combination of WAN as well as LAN there. So since we have the solution for WAN already, what about the solution for LAN? Well, if you're interested to know more about this concept, I suggest you probably could do a research. There's a certain device called NDR. Okay, so this is a new technology that is being defined by Gartner. And probably some of you are going to tell me, well, I have my existing security intelligence event management system, SIEM, right? Probably the IBM QRadar or the LogRhythm. So, well, of course, the SIEM could be helpful. But what SIEM lacks of is exactly the ability to leverage the AI, okay? The AI. And also what SIEM usually focus on are the complicated logs generated from the different cybersecurity appliances there. All right, so in short, there is a certain device called NDR, Network Detection Response Platform. Aside from detection, what's more important is the process of response, okay? Not only detection, but also response. This guy, I usually tell my listener, this guy is like a Mr. 7-Eleven. Okay, it will never feel tired. Just like a good-looking guy sitting here silently, listening to the traffic, traveling from different parts of the network. Everybody is willing to share the words within to this listener, to the NDR devices. Okay, so this guy will never feel tired and listen to whatever, no matter the gossip, no matter the useful information or unuseful information, the gossip, okay? So everything, to get them all together. So it becomes a raw traffic. Then from the raw traffic, the network detection response is gonna leverage its own magic to have a data mining, a big data analytics. Of course, there are machine learnings and AI included. So from there, you don't have to take a look at the firewalls, the endpoints, and also perhaps the logs of the switches anymore. This one, the network detect and response platform, becomes a single point of panel for you to visualize the entire security posture and also make up your own mind how you're going to deal with the threats detected. Okay, so maybe some of you are still having a hard time to understand why it's so important to combine the cloud, which is the threat intelligence, with the parameter and also the NDR together. Well, you will exactly know the reason later on. Okay, but before I go to the next slides, I'm gonna have to explain the main purpose of different components one by one. So over the cloud, there are threat intelligence. It collects mass data. It is leveraging the big data analytics technology from the network and security devices together, okay, with the purpose to enlarge the database, of course, in a dynamic way. Then, for those unidentifiable traffic, well, threat intelligence will have a sandbox and also perhaps a honeypot ready. So when there are some unidentified traffic that we're not sure about, well, feel free to enable the sandbox. The sandbox is going to tell you whether there's something wrong with the traffic or not. Okay, and also it is using the artificial intelligence like gene characteristics, the different types of algorithms to be against the zero-day attack. Okay, so nothing is more important than the readiness, right? Especially for those against those unknown and zero-day attack. And for security operational center, it is also over the cloud. It could deliver the detection and response services in a managed way. Okay, where like some of the vendors are like a butler. Okay, so we're delivering the service 24/7/4. The machine is still with you, but well, the management and also the analysis of the data was being handled by the third-party organization. So perhaps Sunform. And VA and PT, vulnerability and risk assessment or penetration test, and security event analysis. So when it comes to firewall, well, as mentioned before, so well, right now this is the time for next generation firewall, right? Unlike the traditional way. So a lot of machines are working independently, but when it comes to next generation firewall, well, everything as much as possible will be consolidated into only one single machine there. So for the usual features that we're looking for, example like deep packet inspection, IPS, apps control, BM, bandwidth management, security event monitoring, web protection, and anti-malware. There's a lot. So actually, most of the next generation firewall are exactly consolidating those needed modules together. Okay, so there's a term called single pass architecture. Single pass architecture. Okay, so well, that technology is trying to say when next generation firewall will consolidate a lot of modules together, well, supposedly out of the modules will try to analyze the packet one by one, right? But when it comes to next generation firewall, no, that's not the way how it works. The right way how it works is that whenever, no matter which module successfully capture the traffic, well, there is only one analysis that will be done, and that's it. That's why it's called single pass. The analysis will be done only once, and the final result will be shared across the different modules there. That's why when you take a look at the next generation firewall versus in the traditional unified threat management platform, UTM, you're going to see the performance is much better. So this is the reason behind it. Okay. So why it is so important to have an integrated solution there? Well, the answers are, well, the reason we need to have this integrated solution is because, number one, it is able to offer a better security consciousness to the user, and also to give a stronger security capability to your organization. And of course, eventually less vulnerabilities exposed. Okay? So still remember at the very beginning of my presentation there, I mentioned it's all about ransomware, right? The reason I would like to take the ransomware as an example is because of the super bad implication. Okay, I think this is the best example for us to feel how severe the consequence would be if there is no proper precautionary measures and solutions there. So before I move on, you guys will have to take a look at this one. This is called ransomware kill chain. Well, in short, this is a series of steps that will be used by ransomware when they try to go inside your network. Okay, usually the ransomware will probably pretend itself as an attachment of an email, or when you're browsing the internet, accidentally, maybe one of the ransomware samples will be downloaded there. Okay, so external to internal, there is a lot of different ways. DSP flash drive, phishing emails, no matter which approach is going to be used by ransomware, well, everything is still the same. It is always trying to enter into your network. So when the ransomware is with you, okay, the second step, it will try to compromise the PC, of course. So when the PC will be compromised, well, it will set a very special session called CNC, Command and Control. So in short, maybe the ransomware is gonna trying to build a session to talk to its controller, its maker, its hacker. Okay. Once that session has been built, it will receive the next step from the hacker. So that next step maybe is try to scan other available vulnerability and make use of it, take advantage of it. So when other vulnerabilities are detected, well, the next step is all of the data or the file will be encrypted. So while after the encryption will be done successfully, then the ransomware will think about, all right, so since there is one PC that has this vulnerability, maybe some other PC will have the similar or entirely the same vulnerability as well. Why don't I try just to spread all over the entire network? So eventually, maybe your network, if you're not going to do anything, your network will be full of the ransomware. There's going to be a propagation. So as I mentioned, why it's so important to have this integrated solution. So in order for you to understand every single step, well, let's take a look. But first things first, there's a conclusion that I would like to have your attention to. So once the ransomware enter into the internal network, it could either spread quickly vertically or horizontally in the multiple directions there. Firewall or antivirus alone, well, is really having a hard time to prevent it. So one of the things is that I believe everybody still remember WannaCry, right? When you have the WannaCry in your network, perhaps you really want to cry. Organizations infected by this ransomware, they all have the firewalls and antivirus deployed. But the question is why? Why the WannaCry is still with them? Well, that's the question that will be answered later on. So let's take a deep dive. Let's have a deep dive about how firewall, antivirus, or other technologies could work together to stop or mitigate the ransomware on every single step. So step number one, when ransomware will try to go inside your network, the firewall here will be using the TI, the threat intelligence over the cloud we mentioned earlier, and also together with its local signature database to identify as many ransomware samples as it could. So some of the AI technologies as follow: behavioral analysis, NeuroX, gene characteristics, or file reputation. There's a lot. I just roll out several examples here. So if at the step one, well, with the threat intelligence as well as the signatures, we successfully identify the ransomware sample, and that's it. Happy. Everybody's happy. But if the ransomware, bypass the detection of the firewall, then we're gonna have to go to the second step. So this is one. Let's say there's a host that is compromised by the ransomware, right? Sooner or later, it will try to establish a session with one of these unknown IP. So this unknown IP is exactly the controller, the hackers there. when this compromise, the host will try to build a connection or communication with the hackers here. Well, this is very obvious. Okay, this command and control session will be successfully identified by the firewall again. So meaning what? Mean to say even firewall is unable to successfully detect the ransomware and causing one of the hosts has been compromised, but still at the second step, there we can successfully kill it. Okay, but what if the question here is both step 1 and step 2 are bypassed? Can we still do anything? Well, of course. So when step 1 and step 2 are being bypassed, you take a look at this. It means a lot of PCs are being encrypted already, right? But take a look at this one. There's a special one, encrypting. Well, this is exactly the target that we can work on something. Okay. So usually when the endpoint security software will be installed there, the first thing that the endpoint security agent will do is to deploy a very special binary file called BAIT, B-A-I-T. This BAIT file will be all over, everywhere, usually in the system critical, random, and high target directories there. Okay, so once the BAIT file is there, second step. Well, instead of encrypting your data, the BAIT file will sacrifice itself to be encrypted by the ransomware, because the BAIT file is much more attractive than your usual data. Okay. Well, actually, the reason there is a ransomware, the reason there is a BAIT file is exactly to protect your production data there. So this is something that I hope you can catch up. Okay, this is special technology. Actually, guys, there's a term called ransomware honeypot. Okay, there's a ransomware honeypot. All right, so I'm currently staying in page 16. Are you guys with me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay, so we talk about the BAIT file, and the BAIT file will sacrifice itself to be encrypted by the ransomware. Also, when the BAIT file is being encrypted, well, that's the moment exactly we would like. So when the BAIT file is being encrypted, the endpoint security agent will try to locate the encryption process and then kill it. So after killing the encryption process, well, you will see the rest of the PC cannot be encrypted anymore. And furthermore, at the same time, the endpoint security agent will try to generate an ID of this ransomware, of this encryption process. With the help of this ID, well, it's very easy for us to locate other files, other similar ransomware files in other PC as well. Okay, so this technology is called ransomware honeypot. So even though step 1 and step 2 are not working, but at the step 3, it is still working. We can always find a way to mitigate the ransomware attack. So to make sure there is no propagation, so as long as the endpoint security agent will find one infection, it will quickly scan the whole network. Okay, so after the scanning, after quarantine, eventually you're gonna have a picture like this one. So these are all of your PC. It is being segregated into the different group, divided into different group. So this might be the accounting department. This might be the MIS. This might be the financial. Okay, so when the pieces are being interconnected through the green line, it means everything is fine. But if the pieces are being connected through the red line, well, we're gonna have to take a look at it. Okay, maybe something is really happening there. Because if after all, nobody can, at this time we don't we don't mind if it's a false positive or not, right? Because the machine, the firewall, or the endpoint security is just doing its job. It is sensitive enough. So any anything abnormal detected by either of them will be reported to the admin directly.
I'm sorry, excuse me, sorry to interrupt. Please, we would like to request to present your screen po as the participants cannot see your presentation po.
Okay, copy. How about now?
Anyone from the participants, can you see it clearly?
Okay, hold on.
For a while po.
How about now? Is this still visible?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay.
How about the participants? Okay. Okay po. Thank you so much.
Thank you for this reminding. So, time-wise, I will make my presentation faster, okay? So we talk about the different steps that will be used by the ransomware. Step 1, identification, detection, but if step 1 bypassed, then goes to step 2. Step 2, we can still be able to shortlist the suspicious session and find a way to kill it. But if step 1 and step 2 are all bypassed, then no worries. Then furthermore, the endpoint security will try to deploy a bait file to those savable PC. Some of the pieces are not savable anymore, right? They're seeing firewall to us already, compromised. But at least what we can do is to make sure to protect the rest of the PC as much as possible. So the endpoint secure will do the job here. We're gonna deploy the bait file into the critical folders, and bait file is going to sacrifice itself, and furthermore to help us to find the encryption process, then kill it. All right, so eventually, when one of the infectious PC was founded, the entire network will be scanned. Okay, after scanning, all of them will be segmented, will be divided into the different group. Such a mechanism, there's a term called micro segmentation. Okay, so, well, eventually, the endpoint and also the firewall will try to work together hand in hand. So if something detected by the endpoint secure, then it will inform the firewall. And if something will be detected by the firewall, it will inform the endpoint secure, okay? So the question is, what if both firewall and also the endpoint is not gonna work? And still my data will be encrypted. Still any other way to retrieve my data? Well, the answer is, of course, yes. Usually there are third-party backup software, right? And also, if you have a certain hypervisor, a virtualization platform, so kindly generate the snapshot, the backup files on a more granular basis. Make sure it's not going to be backed up only 1 or 2 days. There should be at least the multiple backups generated every day to make sure the data is to keep identical as the production. Okay. Yeah, so usually after the attack, we will scope, we will have a inter inspection to see what was happening there and find a way to remediate. Everything that we did, there is only one purpose: no more second attack. Okay. So, well, eventually, except counting on the product, the machines, also the technologies, human intervention is also very important. Okay, so usually when there are ransomware infections, some of the security vendors like Stanford are offering the IR service, incident response. So the incident response usually is being conducted free of charge, of course, because it's one of the way to help the ransomware victims out of the dilemma. So usually the steps that follow: security assessment. Of course, that's the number one. Number two, we're gonna have to locate the virus and take a look at which ransomware family it belongs to. Okay, then the first step, of course, to trace, to block, to query the logs, find a way to remove it, to patch your existing system. Everything, make sure everything is serving for the purpose. No more second attack. Okay. All right. So I mentioned it's very important.
Sir, excuse me, your microphone is muted.
I think someone
All right.
accidentally mute me. It's okay.
All right.
Yeah, I
Thank
open it again.
you.
All right. So I mentioned earlier it's very important to have an integrated, synergetic solution, which is to combine your network devices and also the endpoint together, right? Typically, like this one. Look, firewall will block when something will be detected by the firewall. The firewall will tell the firewall, the endpoint will tell the firewall, I'm sorry, I'm infected, I may need your help. Then when the firewall receives this information from the endpoint, then next step, firewall will try to block the endpoint communication. Okay, so this is the first way. Another way, the other way around. Yeah, I think something. All right. So firewall will tell the endpoint to run the vulnerability scan or to take a look at other potential viruses. So in this case, you will really see the firewall is working with the endpoint software together, right? Instead of working for themselves. So usually the typical case is like if you're using a certain brand of the firewall, but the antivirus is another brand. Well, this might be something that your existing setup are lack of. Okay, because vendor A and vendor B usually don't have any technical alliance, right? They have a different technology, different management console, so different services, different consultations. All right, so actually to elaborate, to make a summary about my presentation here. So one of the way to combine the cloud, network, and endpoint, of course, different technologies cannot be integrated, right? That's why it is better to be in the same way, in the same brand, in the same under the same umbrella. So when it's under the same umbrella, different components definitely will have something in common, which is the modules. Okay, all of them will be able to share the information from each other and work hand in hand. So some other tips, precautionary measures here for you. So, eventually the machines are still machines, right? What matters is still our security consciousness here. So we got to improve before it's too late. So basic security knowledge training from the IT team, security behavioral guidelines. Example, do not insert some untrusted peripherals there, like USB. Make sure to have it checked before you plug it in. Okay, change your password on a regular basis. Increase its complexity there. And also, usually for the machines, it doesn't mean that the policy that you set is once and for all. Make sure you're going to check it on a regular basis. It also according to the business need of your organization. Let's say, for example, this is under pandemic, and everybody's working from home. So maybe some of the ports needs to be closed from the firewall side, right? All right. So I just want to give you a case. One of the company here in the Philippines, accidentally they were infected by this ransomware way back in 2020. A lot of files and also the data were encrypted and staying firewall to them forever. And what Sanford actually did is we give them some of the mitigation service, the one that I mentioned presented earlier. Okay, so see, we deploy the endpoint there, and also the there's a virtual next generation firewall running over their existing virtualization platform from another vendor. Okay, you know, one of the thing I would like also to mention you. Somebody says that I have the backup probably from Commvault, Zerto, or Veeam, right? Those worldwide third-party famous backup software. But in this case, well, some of the ransomware does have that ability to identify the files generated from those third-party backup file and then delete it. So the ransomware will not even give you a chance to recover your data. So this is something that hopefully you can take note on this, because it's I've experienced it multiple times already. Okay, so well, in short, do not put the egg into only one basket. Except the third-party backup software, do make sure you have other approach to back up your data. And make sure some of the precautionary measures that will be deployed ahead of time before it's too late. See, some of the precautionary measures, like example, to make the service ready, right? Contact the vendor to make the service ready ahead, to deploy the honeypot ahead, to deploy the firewalls, the cloud modules, the threat intelligence is ready. So the more, the better we're prepared, the easier the data could be recovered. Okay? So, well, hopefully what I present is informative, and thank you so much for your time. And let me take a look at if there are questions.
All right, thank you so much, sir. To our participants, if you have questions, you may raise it in our chat box or you may unmute your microphones. Ayan. Are there any questions? Ayan, sir.
Okay, how do we know, okay, from Cherry, how do we know that we're already infected of the ransomware, and what are the things that we have to do once infected? Okay, here's the thing. This is a very good question. One of the ways that for you to know whether you're infected by the ransomware or not is, you know, to take a look at the some of the system critical directory. Okay, and also make sure all of those hidden files will be displayed. You remember there's a button under my computer there, because some of the ransomware will try to generate some of the hidden file. Enable all of the options and take a look at the symptom. And if indeed there's a ransomware happen, you know, one of the first thing that I suggest you to do is not to deploy the firewall or enable the software or something. One of the things that I will suggest you to do is to unplug your network cable to physically isolate that PC immediately. Isolate it first, and then we talk. In the endpoint level security, you said that no way to remove the malwares on the devices, how to prevent against it, how to recognize them. Okay, well, that part, Surreal, we're gonna have to count on the modules there, okay? So there's no perfect way to remove the malwares, to be honest, because of so many different possible variants there. So one of the ways is to be open, to listen to the suggestions coming from the different vendor and try to leverage the advantage of it. Same thing, do not put the egg into only one basket. The more the better, because different vendors, different technologies has different advantages there. Combine all of them together, okay? Because the only thing that we can do is to do a forecast, to be ready, because we don't know when the catastrophes or when the malwares will hit us. Okay, that's the suggestions that I would like to share. Exactly. Prevention is better than cure. That's why make sure to wear your face mask no matter where you are. Okay, so how do we remove or disable the write protected flash drive? Is it the ransomware or the malware? Well, that one usually for the external flash drive, you're gonna have to take a look at their configurations there. Okay, some of the external flash drive or the portable hard drive, there's a physical switch. There's a physical switch there. On the software side, usually the vendor is not gonna put some control there. How does it work? Usually using encryption and how to prevent unauthorized access. For the unauthorized access, we're gonna just have to count on the supervisor. Number one, do not share the credentials and passwords. See, for example, maybe user N and user B are good friends, and someday user B's account is not working, but somehow user B is in a hurry. That's why user A says, hey, Bre, come here and use my credentials and password first, right? So that way, that is also can be considered as the unauthorized access. Do not share the confidential data to your office mates or something without the authorization from the superior. And also make sure that the password, once again, the password will be changed on a regular basis. Okay? It's recycle.bin in our file as, no, it's not. It's actually a hidden file. It's actually a hidden file. If you open up all of your drive, there in every drive, C drive, D drive, E drive, F drive, this file, this folder do exist there. Once you delete it, within seconds, it is going to be regenerated. This is the one of the files generated by Windows system. Okay, so is it enough to clean the format from the device to remove the ransomware? Yes, that's the final. Probably that is the ultimate weapon that we can count on. One of my clients did it actually. They got no other choices anymore except to, clean and format the device. But the loss is so big sometimes it's not affordable. What security advice can you give if you're using our phones or tablets? Well, number one, do not root it. Here, do not jailbreak it. Do not. I think either of you are using all of you are using either Android or iOS, right? iPhone. So for Android, do not root it. And for Apple, for iOS, do not jailbreak it. There are tools there. So as long as you're not going to root or jailbreak, well, majority of the time, your tablets or your phones are safe. Because usually within the cell phone there, it has the security software built in, okay? That built-in security software have sufficient ability to identify the malwares. So what if accidentally delete my files and even to recycle bin? How do I restore my files? Well, if that's the way, as long as you didn't format the disk completely, there's still a chance to retrieve it by using the software, file recovery software. Is there a way to automatically disconnect the infected device from the network? Well, logically, of course, there is. Okay, some of the software does have that ability to disable or disconnect the session there. But Sir Gerald, a good suggestion. Still, much better to physically disconnect it because we cannot shoulder the consequence. Okay. So what's the ideal updating schedule of antivirus and anti-malware apps? Okay, Sir Nino. So most of my clients actually, they're updating the antivirus database every 2 hours on some certain verticals. Example like government. Okay, one of the biggest banks here in the Philippines under the government also, so they're exactly using this schedule, 2 hours. So the question is, yeah, that's a good. This is a good question. So one of the questions that also you have to think about is, what is the minimum data loss you could tolerate? How many hours? Any comment about AI apps replacing your face in a video, which are not trending the social media apps there? Well, usually for for AI, my answer will be leverage AI to weaponize AI. It's gonna be a battle between AI and AI. Okay, some of the suggested measures that probably, sir, you could consider is number one, to deploy the technology, leveraging the AI technology, especially DGA, okay, domain generation algorithm. Is it safe to use their apps? Well, that is 50-50, I'm gonna say, because maybe a couple of minutes ago, when you're using the AI apps, then the next morning, your picture will be posted on some other social medias there. So it's always a 50-50 actually. Clarifications: are the endpoint security application requires the operating system security patch or updates to establish a better? Yes. Actually, so Mark, there is no perfect endpoint security. Okay, so eventually to patch the system is still the right way to go. That's why the endpoint secure and also the patch should be done at the same time. Any suggestions on the best online or internet security we can use for personal computer? Well, my suggestions are maybe you could take a look at the A/B test and also the Gartner. Okay, I don't want to give you any brand there, so I want to give you a neutral answer. So take a look at the rank of the Gartner or the A/B test there. So you will find the right solution from there. All right, so do we need to buy the antivirus up to our Android phones like McAfee security? Well, take a look at the features. Actually, most of the, right now in over Android 10, Oreo, Android 11, as long as your device will not be rooted, okay? So most of the time it's safe, but still, you might consider to install some, they call it the safe box. Actually, safe box is part of McAfee. If you take a look at it, it is able to protect or encrypt your contacts, your messages, right, your pictures, and to give a lock to lock your other apps. When you log into your other apps, you will be needing to input the password. So what do you think are the limitations of honeypot? Are we secure if we use it? Well, honeypot is also just one of the way. It's not the best. It's not the forever way. It is only one of the way there. Honeypot can make you stay away from some of the unknown attack, because usually honeypot is usually it is more attractive to either malware, viruses, or the attacks. Okay, so it's like you have a there is a target that is waiting to be attacked by the different types of threats. How to identify phishing? I guess it's phishing sites. Some developers might integrate codes that we cannot see or not aware of. Yeah, this is a good question. There are two ways, sir. So in my opinion, from my limited knowledge, just want to do a share with you. So last time, one of the phishing email was accidentally integrated, to one of the PHP by one of the PHP programmer from one of our clients. So this is what they did. They had an audit service. This one, they had an audit service. So they leverage they invite the third party code auditor to take a look at all of the codes from the beginning to the end. So all those external auditors have their own compliance. Okay, so based on that compliance, it's very easy to identify whether some of the codes are exceptional or probably is being programmed in the wrong way. How do you check the phone is rooted or jailbroken? Can they be reversed? Here, I used to be actually to root the phone or to jailbreak the phone. It was used to be one of my hobbies. So to iOS, it's revertible, but under the condition that you can install the plugging from the CDIA. I'm pretty sure you know this one, right? From the CDIA. Yeah, you have the uncover. Yeah, that's the uncover is one of the way. And also, it's fun. I'm pretty sure you know this also, right? Uncover. Yeah, uncover. I think it's is one of the best way for jailbroken right now. But for root, well, no. Super SU is not being used anymore. It has been obsoleted a couple of years ago. Now everybody's using this. Magisk. So if you're interested in this one, sir, you may do a search. Okay, so I guess this is all for the question. So once again, guys, thank you so much for your listening. Hopefully what I present is informative. I'm gonna take note on the subsequent questions and probably find another way to answer through email. So ma'am, I'm gonna turn the floor back to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Sir Wang, for the very interesting and informative discussion on cybersecurity. So the following, the follow-up questions or the questions being raised in the chat box that hindi pa nasasagot, we will be addressing those via email. Okay? Okay. Let me just share my screen. Okay, this is to present the certificate of appreciation to Mr. Glee Wang for sharing his valuable knowledge as the resource person of the Cybersecurity Awareness Month conducted on September 13, 2021 via Google Meet, signed by the OIC Division Chief of the ICTMS, Mr. Shin Kare, and also the Director 4 of the ICTMS, Director Andrew J. Ambubuyog. Thank you so much, sir, again. And now, for the learning materials, we will be providing via this link. The chat box administrator will be providing in the chat box the link to these learning materials, okay? Okay, let's check naman if may natutunan ba ang ating mga participants sa ating 2 sessions for today. Syempre, hindi lang yun ganun-ganun, no? So, we will give a prize to the person who will be answering first sa ating chat box. Okay, so the learning management team will be giving you a 50 peso GCash. So, ayan, napaka-generous po ng ating LMT. So, again, please type the letter and the correct answer, okay? All right. How cyber smart are you? First question. Ayan. Naglagay ng line si Miss Jo. Thank you so much. Blank is a collection of cloud computing productivity and collaboration tools, software, and products developed and marketed by Google. A. Google Workspace. B. Google Space, C, G Suite, or D, Google Apps? Okay. As I've seen in the chat box, again, the letter and the word. Please type it. Okay, may nauna na. Si Miss Erica V. Bautista. Request po sa ating chat box admin. Please take note of the winner, Miss Erica V. Bautista. I know, sorry. It's Mr. RJ M. Mejia. Sorry for the... Ayan. Thank you so much. Next question. Give at least 3 collaboration tools that Google Workspace offers. Okay. Doc, spreadsheet, slides from Sir Kennedy Veles. Okay. Okay. Ayan. Please take note po sa ating winner. Thank you so much. Ayan. Next. Blank is Google's implementation of the Zero Trust model. A. Corporation Beyond. B. Beyond Corporation. C. Beyond Corp. Or D. Corp Beyond. Okay, so the right answer is C. Beyond Corp. So medyo mabilis yung pagtaas na natin. Makikisuyo pa sa ating chatbox admin. Okay, so ang nauna sa aking chatbox is si Mr. Erwin Roy Bautista, C. Beyond Corp. Okay, next. Which of the following is not an advanced protection program of Google Workspace? A. Strong authentication with security keys. B. Bakit may sumasagot na agad ng all of the above? B. Account recovery through admin. C. Restrictions on third-party access to account data. Or D. None of the above. So walang all of the above. Ayan. So the right answer, ayan. So the right answer is none of the above. So, sino ang nakahula? Nakatama na sagot, rather. Letter D. Kay Sir Gerson. D. Ayan. Next. Blank prevents malware from installing itself on computers and reduces the severity of vulnerabilities. A. Sandboxing. B. Safe browsing. Again, please type the word aside from the letter. C. Google browsing. D. None of the above. Okay, so the right answer is A. Sandboxing. So, Miss Grayster got the correct answer. Okay. Next. Which of the following are the reasons why organizations got hacked? A. Insufficient security consciousness. B. Insufficient security capabilities structuring. C. Insufficient regular O&M in time incident response. Or D. All of the above. May mga nanguhula na nasagot. So again, it's Miss Grayster V. Cambaliza. Get the right answer. D. All of the above. Next, once the ransomware enters the internal network, it can spread quickly. True or false? So may mga yan, ang bilis. A. True or false? B. It's false. Okay. So, the one who got the right answer first is, for a while, Miss Jelly Erica P. Esteban. Ayan. Please take note of the winners. Chatbox admin, thank you so much. So just a few reminders, the webinar series will be conducted every Monday of September from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. So the next session will be on September 20. We will be discussing two sessions, which are the cybersecurity awareness, how to be safe, and the Philippine National Public Key Infrastructure, or PNPKI, the digital signatures. So please be there again with us, okay? Ayan. So again, please do sign up in our attendance sheet that will be posted also in our chat box. And then you may share your insights with us. The evaluation form will also be posted in our chat box, okay? Yes, we will review po sa chat box kung sino po talaga ang winner. Baka nakakaligtaan kasi mabilis yung yung pagtaas ng mga sagot, okay? The chat box admin will verify naman. Ayun. So again, yung mga nakaraan pong winner, remind po namin to send your GCash number para po ma-claim nyo po yung prize nyo last Monday. Okay? Ayan. So again, please don't forget to sign your attendance sheet and the evaluation form. Okay? Thank you so much. So again, this has been Eileen Arden from the Learning and Development Division of HRMDS Central Office. Thank you so much for actively participating with us again. So again, do your part, Hashtag be cyber smart. Keep safe, everyone. Thank you so much. Hi, Miss Bianca. Yes po, i-verify po natin yun. Baka nakaligtaan ko lang, pasensya na po. Pero iano naman po namin. We will contact you naman po if na-verify na namin kung sino yung winner. Ayan. Thank you. Okay, again, the Learning Insights and Evaluation form is already posted in our chat box.